Welcome to the Explainer. In this new age of AI, there's a really dangerous gap growing in the C-suite, and it's all centered on one, maybe surprising department, human resources. So today, we're going to break down exactly how HR can bridge that gap and really lead the charge.
Okay, let's start with just one number, 7%. Now, I know it might not look like much on its own, but trust me, this little number represents a really critical and frankly a pretty dangerous divide inside the modern C-suite.
That's right. In an era where AI is literally reshaping every single corner of the business, most CEOs look at their top people leaders as the least prepared. Think about that. This is the perception gap CHROs are up against right now. So the big question is, how does HR actually make that leap? How do you go from being seen as unprepared to leading the charge? Well, we're going to unpack the answer using a framework from a 3-time CHRO, Malvika Jethmalani, who has actually been in the trenches and navigated this exact transformation herself.
All right, first things first, we've got to understand the problem at its core, because this isn't just about AI, right? It's really about a long-standing perception of what HR even is versus what it desperately needs to become.
So on one side, you've got that traditional view, right? HR is this reactive function. The folks who push the payroll button and clean up messes when things go wrong. But on the other side, that's the new mandate. A strategic partner, someone who can actually integrate all the complexities of the business and actively shape what's coming next.
And this quote from Malvika just illustrates this shift perfectly. It's not just about updating some old processes. It's a fundamental redefinition of purpose. The idea here is that HR's highest calling is to bring clarity and, humanity to these really ambiguous times, and to use that to drive the whole business forward.
Okay, so how does a leader actually do this? It's one thing to talk about it, but how do you make it happen? It's not just wishful thinking, that's for sure. It requires a whole new mindset, which then fuels a really clear, actionable playbook. And this is absolutely crucial. The mindset has to change before any of the actions can. We're talking about HR leaders needing to develop some serious business acumen. That means really understanding how the company makes money, the P&L, the profit and loss statement, and knowing the real cost and profit of every single service, the unit economics. It's all about thinking like a business leader first and an HR leader second. And once you have that business-first mindset, it builds directly into 3 core strategic actions. First, you master the business acumen we just talked about. Second, you start co-owning the digital employee experience. And third, and this is a big one, you lead the company's AI transformation. You don't just react to it, you get out in front of it.
Now, what's really fascinating about co-owning that digital experience is that HR isn't supposed to do this alone. Not at all. A recent Deloitte survey found that 30% of executives agree that a powerful partnership between the CIO, the tech leader, and the CHRO, the people leader, is absolutely critical for success in the age of AI. And let's be clear, this partnership isn't just about rolling out new software. It's much deeper than that. It's about making sure that technology serves people and not the other way around. The whole goal is to design work that gives employees real agency, tons of opportunities for learning, and a genuine connection. Basically, preventing AI from hollowing out the very things that make work meaningful in the first place. Okay, so think about this. As technology like AI becomes, democratized, pretty much anyone can get their hands on it. So what becomes the ultimate defensible competitive advantage? It has to be something that technology can't just copy and paste.
And this brings us to a really powerful metaphor from Malvika Jethmalani. Your culture is your strongest moat. Like the water-filled ditch around a castle. It's that protective barrier around your business that your competitors just can't cross. But, and this is key, it has to be deliberately designed and consciously curated. It doesn't just happen by accident. And here's why this is such a big deal. A competitor? Sure, they can copy your product features. They can probably even copy your tech stack. But a strong, unique culture? How your teams collaborate, how they make decisions, how they innovate. That is nearly impossible to duplicate. And that's what makes it your true differentiator. So what does all this mean for the person who's supposed to be leading this charge? Well, the role itself is going through a massive evolution. We're talking about a new title and a completely new set of skills. You can actually see a clear progression here. The role started as the traditional Chief Human Resources Officer, the CHRO. Then it evolved into the more employee-centric Chief People Officer. But the next step, the one for right now, is the Chief People and Performance Officer. See that? A title that explicitly links people's strategy directly to tangible business outcomes. And look, to power this new role, the HR team itself has to be rewired. This means bringing in totally new capabilities. We're talking about thinking like a product manager, using design thinking, telling compelling stories with people analytics, driving real change through influence, and of course, mastering the huge complexities of ethical AI and governance.
So, the transformation is really complete when the people leader can walk into that boardroom and speak its native language. I mean, when you can use people data to tell a truly compelling story about risk, ROI, and profit growth, well, then the people function is no longer seen as a cost center. It's finally recognized for what it is, a powerful force multiplier for the entire business.
So, we'll leave you with this question. This whole age of AI, it isn't some distant forecast. It's here. It's today's reality. And what that means is that this is a once-in-a-generational opportunity for HR leaders to completely redefine their role and truly shape the future of work. The only question left is, are you ready?